Welcome back to another episode of The Rift. I will be your host today. My name is Mike Mendoza. You can follow me on all social media at Mike Mendoza JPG, really just X and Instagram if you so choose to follow me on Instagram. But today, we have some interesting news. I mean, yesterday was a very big news day, probably one of the biggest news days in recent memory, honestly. But now, and you know, I kind of didn't want to rehash the whole Epstein thing, but really just not a lot going on today. And after what happened yesterday, it's like, how do you one up that? But Kash Patel went on Joe Rogan, which is interesting because now we have this whole cabal of former Rumblers, former YouTubers, former social media celebrities who are in the government. So now what do? They go on podcasts. And Kash Patel had a very interesting thing to say on Joe Rogan. If you could bring up my screen real quick. And just let me know, I mean, does this sound kind of like what he was saying with Dan Bongino just recently? Let's just watch.
Since we were talking about fake news, this is going to come up because it's been going on since we've been recording here. Elon and Trump seem to be in a bit of a spat. Joe, you want to check the tweet that Elon just put out a little bit ago?
Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day. Jesus Christ.
I'm not participating in any of that conversation between Elon
Have a
and Trump.
nice day, DJT. Someone should take his phone away.
They're going back and forth about different things. And
Yeah. Listen,
Well, he said he was disappointed in Elon.
yeah,
You know,
they told him to leave.
Jesus Christ, that's a crazy thing to say. How does he know? Does he know that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files? Or does he have access to the Epstein files?
I don't know how he would, but I'm just staying out of the Trump-Elon thing. That's way outside
What
my
the
lane.
fuck are they doing?
I know my lane, and that ain't it.
I just don't. I mean, I understand he owns Twitter. I think it's bad for your mental health.
Ultra Methylene Blue is now available.
That's it. Thank you for that, Alex. Anyway, I mean, I find it interesting that the director of the FBI is saying that's not in his lane. Actually, I think that is your lane. I think that's exactly your lane to talk about. But, you know, who knows if he's trying to hide something? I can kind of understand why he's trying to stay out of the drama, but we'll talk about that more. Got some other things going on. I know some stuff in Europe and outside of America because, as I said, you know, I think we exhausted most of our big news stories yesterday. So anyway, I'm here today because, as Elijah said in his own words, he just couldn't take one more day of Sarah Stock. And thankfully, Sarah Stock's last day here. If we could put the camera on Sarah Stock real quick and get some applause for her.
my last day here.
Her last day here for a while. So enjoy her while you still can.
Going back to California.
Yep, enjoy her while you still can. But for now, we're going to get into another episode of The Rift, only here on Rift TV. Let's start the show. All right, what's going on, everyone? Like I said before, my name is Mike Mendoza JPG. Can I get some applause for myself? Mike Mendoza JPG, Mike Mendoza JPG on Twitter, on Instagram, anywhere you choose to follow me at. Could you also bring up my screen real quick, too? Because I just love the freeze frame that I left it on. I mean, actually, just go to split screen. Let's just intro ourselves with that up because that's kind of the energy for today. That's the energy that we're coming into Friday with. Thank God it's Friday. You know,
Casual Friday, by the way. That's
casual
why
Friday.
we're all dressed casually.
Yeah,
Friday.
that's the reason why we're dressed casually, not like I do every day. But yeah, Elijah did want us to mention that because obviously we're trying to be a little bit more serious news people. I mean, not that we're trying to be. We are obviously serious news people. If you could take it off the screen, go to split real quick. But we are obviously serious news people. So we're here to talk about the news today. And who better to talk about the news? As I said, her last day here, at least for the time being, maybe for another month or two. Sarah Stock, contributor with I almost said slightly offensive with Rift TV. What's up? How's it going?
Good. It's all going well. If you want to follow me on any of my socials, it's just Sarah C. Stock all over X, on Instagram. Maybe I should make a comeback on TikTok. I just have a lot of haters there because it's pretty much just leftists on TikTok.
Well, I think that if you were to reboot your TikTok, then you'd probably get a lot of engagement and you probably grow pretty quickly, even if you have haters.
Yeah, well, I just have to make a new account because TikTok also just like takes
all
down all my posts and everything because they're too mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, also subscribe to my brand new YouTube channel. It's just called Sarah Stock, and I'll have a lot more content coming up on there soon.
Right, and that will be down in the description. Also, we're pre-recording this show, so want to get that out there first, just so no one sends super chats and expect them to be read during the show. We will read them on Monday. And just a little sneak peek, because now that's relevant now that we're pre-recording this show. We will be having Rad Femme Hitler, no relation to Adolf, Rad Femme Hitler on the show at the request of Sarah Stock here, who won't be here for that show, unfortunately.
Yeah, I requested her to come because she's my favorite Twitter account,
Yeah.
and now I'm not gonna be here at the same time, so there's no point.
It's unfortunate, but I mean, should be a very good show. She'll be here Monday and Tuesday. So, and I don't think Elijah's very well informed with her content. I don't think I don't think he follows her or anything. So, I mean,
I don't think he knows what he's getting himself into.
Yeah, it should be interesting. But I mean, that's what we're trying to do now, because before, I mean, and it kind of always has been this way where it's like we'd have people who agree with us, but I think it's more interesting to have people that don't agree with you, which is why we will have Misfit Patriot on the show. Just some scheduling stuff kind of got messed up with that, and we're always busy over here. But we will eventually have him on. We obviously don't agree with him on everything, but I think it's more interesting to have people on the show that you don't agree with everything on, or else it's just a big circle jerk where you're like, oh, I don't agree with what Israel's doing in Palestine. It's just like the same old, same old. I'd rather have people that I disagree with. I don't know how you feel about that, but
yeah, me too. I mean, I think that's what people like to watch anyway. People like to watch debates. That's like the most popular type of content right now in general. So
wait, hold on. Are you telling me that debates get a lot of views, and then you can go viral off of doing debates?
Yeah,
because
I guess so. I don't know anyone who's gone viral from debates.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Anyway, well, let's not skip the one, the only behind the desk for today, Michael Hennessy, producer. Give yourself an applause too. We need more sounds when you're producing. I'll get you on the sounds eventually.
Get used to the soundboard.
Yeah,
but yeah, excited to be here, and yeah, we do need more debates. I think that's the one thing is we're scared to have open conversations a lot of times in the political world. So we shouldn't run away from them. We should actually embrace them and be open for discussion.
Exactly. Yep. So true, King. So true. So anyway, we're going to get into the lead story for today, which is, I don't think there could have been a better time for Kash Patel to go on Joe Rogan. I mean, it's kind of serendipitous that he would be on at the exact same time that the two most powerful men in the world, two most powerful people in the world, period, are going at it. And some people have been saying that they think it was a setup. I could see how maybe they could play, the public and, maybe make everyone dump their SpaceX or their SpaceX stock. I dumped mine actually because I was just like, okay, there's no recovering from this. But who knows? Maybe they just tank the price. And if you could bring up the split screen too while we're all on. But it would make sense if they were to make this big drama thing go on, and then everyone dumps their Tesla. SpaceX isn't public. I dumped my Tesla stock. They could dump it, and then it provides a buying opportunity for other people who are already extremely rich and extremely wealthy. So I mean, maybe there's some ulterior motives. I don't know what's really going on. I did find it strange that now all of a sudden people are pushing for JD Vance to be president.
Yeah, that could be part of it. That was a little bit crazy how Elon quote tweeted an Ian Miles Chong tweet saying that Trump should be impeached because of this claim that Elon made, which so far we don't really see any evidence of it unless they're actually going to release the files. And he called for him to be impeached and replaced with JD Vance, and Elon just says yes.
Yeah.
So that I don't think people are talking about that enough. That's kind of crazy.
True, yeah.
The richest man in the world, who used to be his right-hand guy, just called for him to step down, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, by the way, too, I mean, he was his right-hand man for what? 6 months, 8 months.
Yeah, but he was more the right-hand man than Vance was, honestly.
True. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and I mean, by the way, a lot of people had been saying this. A lot of people had been saying, hey, like what Mark Zuckerberg gets a new haircut and he starts doing jujitsu and he wears a chain and then an oversized
he
black
gets like the broccoli hair.
Yeah, exactly. Which by the way,
hair.
I mean, I don't know if I should dox this too much right now, but we have this one office that opened up nearby us. It's for a company, some may call it a multi-level marketing scheme or a pyramid scheme, if you aren't familiar. But all we see every single day is broccoli haircut kids every single day going into the office. Just really funny. I just don't understand how every single male in that generation has the same haircut. But that's besides the point. But anyway, back to this thing with Kash Patel, and then him talking about him talking about the whole situation on Joe Rogan. I think this was actually the video that I meant to lead off with, but I find it interesting that, like him and Dan Bongino are just playing dumb. They're playing coy. They're acting like they don't know what's going on. And
he's like, oh, I think I'll stay out of it. This doesn't really concern me. It's like, you're the FBI director. I'm pretty sure this is like, you're like the number one person this concerns.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you could bring up my screen real quick. This is another clip that was provided to us by the Vigilant Fox. Shout out to him. He's a great guy. He always puts out great content, and it's like he's like the oracle of the media. Like he's just always like scanning everything for like important clips to come up. So let's watch this and see what happens, and see if this comes off as innocent or honest, or if there's some kind of ulterior motive here. I don't know. You be the judge.
Again, we're going to give you everything we can, and people have to remember, we're not going to re-victimize women. We're not going to put that shit back out there. It's not happening, because then he wins. Not doing it. You want to hate me for it? Fine. Again, logical play out. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island, and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
If you have access to it.
If I have it, period.
Right.
If I have it.
So,
where else would it be?
right, if you have it.
Right.
But you can't say that you have it
No, we're giving you everything we have.
so far.
Everything we have so far is
Have
the
you
universe.
guys gone over all the video that's available?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's what takes so much damn time.
Right.
And
And is there video from the island?
not of what you want. The people out there have filled the void with can't wait to see X, Y, or Z.
Right, speculation.
And I'm like, here's the other thing I've been asking for, right? Openly. If you have information on this, call us. Tell us. The best resource we have is the American people in the world.
Okay, so I remember when this first broke.
So,
I have a hard time believing this.
yeah, he's
I
like,
mean,
oh,
yeah,
yeah, the
go ahead.
FBI, we don't have any videos, actually. We don't really know what's going on, but I don't know, maybe one of Joe Rogan's viewers has a video they can send to us. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, we would have the information if they didn't spend so much time burying it. I mean,
Yeah.
when everything happened on the island, the FBI was there immediately, started confiscating all the computers, started collecting all the information. We see the same thing with Diddy as well. And Epstein's whole purpose was not to just traffic little kids. It was actually to collect information so this way he can blackmail, politicians, celebrities, and then use them to his advantage. So for him to come out and say this, just like him coming out saying Epstein didn't, kill himself, I'm having a hard time believing this.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. So once they did the initial raid, there were boxes on boxes on boxes. And I mean, I'm pretty sure he probably had cameras everywhere. I think in his New York townhome or whatever, he had a bunch of cameras and everything. And then he had paintings of Bill Clinton in a dress, and then he had George Bush playing with the planes and the blocks or whatever.
Well, I think the one they argue, I don't know if George Bush was there, the George Bush one. I guess they argue that it was the same painter. But
okay.
I hear mixed reviews on that. I know Bill Clinton was in there for sure. There's a possibility that the George Bush was also there with the towers, which we could already know what that leads to.
Right.
But that I can't say for sure, but it could also be that I've just been flagged for it before, and they always like to flag truth. So who knows?
Exactly. Well, also one thing I wanted to point out from his video is in the first 6 seconds where he says, we don't want to re-victimize women.
yeah.
Like, it's like, I'm pretty sure that if you're not bringing people to justice, they stay a victim, and then they never get their justice that they were looking for. So, I mean, is he trying to say that if they were to like re-release it, I guess I can kind of see that if they re-release the tapes, then it's like it has like a negative effect on the women. But I mean, I'm pretty sure that they would want that information to be out there to make sure that, say it was Prince Andrew allegedly, or like whoever was actually carrying out these acts, that they would actually be brought
It
to
doesn't.
justice.
Well, it's kind of a pointless thing for him to say because he says that, and then he goes on to claim that they don't have anything. So it doesn't really make any sense.
So which is it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this was the exact same thing with the Dan Bongino thing. And like, by the way, say what you want about Joe Rogan, but Joe Rogan kind of he strikes me as like he has a lot of like street smarts. Like, he's just intuitive. He's not like the most intelligent guy in the world. He's not the most book smart guy in the world. Like, he couldn't rattle off all the facts. But like, I mean, he's had he's probably had more conversations with people of note, like celebrities, political figures, than anyone else. I think he can probably tell body language pretty well, and he can sniff out BS very easily too.
I think he also is just someone who obviously has come in contact with all these powerful people. He kind of knows how things work at the highest level. And I think that he would intuitively know that Kash Patel does know more than he's letting on, just because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like all these people who are saying, how would Elon Musk even know about the Epstein list? Because he's not part of the FBI. It's like, do you not realize how things work when you're like an elite member of society? You know more than your average Joe Rogan viewer.
Yeah, exactly. And also too, I mean, you know, this had just came out recently too, that, I mean, you know, Doge may have not actually achieved a lot of the things that it was set out for Doge to achieve, but what they did achieve was by getting Palantir access to a lot of these 3-letter agencies' databases. So I think you're completely right that you know, it's not just about what the FBI or the CIA knows or what's in their records or whatever, but I mean, yeah, money talks, and it makes more sense that someone who has that kind of power and stature, not just in the country but in the entire globe, would have access to that kind of information. Even just like not even from this specific case, but I mean probably just from being around other rich and powerful people, and then hearing about so and so goes to Little St. James. Like, it's like, I'm sure he's heard some stuff before,
and he's been around for a little while too.
Exactly. I mean, what he's been. I don't know how long he's been a billionaire for, but I mean, he was one of the founders for PayPal. PayPal's been around for 25 years. He was like one of the first, I think, like the first like big financial company, like payment processing for the internet. Actually, was back on eBay back in the day. Like, that was the main thing.
I feel like if you have 20 or 30 years of hanging out with other billionaires, you're gonna know something about who went to that island. Yeah,
which is why it's funny how like some people who are like vets in their field, they'll still come around. Like, you know, Tucker does this all the time, where like Tucker kind of plays dumb, and he's just like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Qatar's doing this? Wow, that's amazing.
He's really good at that, though.
And people fall for it. So
I was watching this. Oh my gosh, I wish I could pull it up now. But yeah, I remember watching this interview, and it was like Tucker and Elon Musk, and they were just having the most 70 IQ conversation ever. And Tucker was being like, "Really? So you think there's a threat to free speech in the U.S.?" And then Elon's like, "Yeah. No one's talking about this." And I'm just like, both of you are a billion times smarter than this, and it's kind of insulting.
It is, exactly.
You pretend to be that retarded because you think we're all that retarded. I guess we kind of are, but I don't know. Your average person.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I mean, you know, most people like at a mass scale, most people aren't that informed. I mean, they work 9 to 5 every day. I mean, so do we. I mean, we probably work more than that, but we work in the news. So it's like,
but even there's even a certain level of people who consume a lot of political content, like probably people who watch our show and other shows like that and Rumble or whatever. But then there's like a lower level of people that maybe turn on Fox News twice a week and they just know the most basic level of information, and they don't really have a frame of reference for anything political. So I guess they watch an interview like that, and it's the first political thing they've seen like 3 months, and they're like, "Oh wow, maybe there is censorship in America. I didn't even think about this before. This is like that George Orwell book."
Right.
And that's not even just with the Fox boomers. You know, you even see that nowadays with everybody going online, just copying whatever the influencer at the time's telling them to believe. And they go full-heartedly, think that it's all true, and they don't want to dig deep enough. You know, they don't want to take the time to actually vet the information as provided to them. They rather watch a quick clip, hear what somebody commented, and then go on to watch their Kardashians or whatever it else is with their attention span. So
honestly, too, I gotta say, I do kind of take the position sometimes where it's like, I kind of envy those people in a certain way, because like, could you imagine just like not knowing that the government is full of satanic pedophiles, and then just be like, "Oh yeah, so did you watch the game last night? Oh, so what are we grilling this weekend?" Like, that's such a different life to live, but unfortunately,
I know.
we're artistic.
Sometimes I find it's kind of bad. I feel like I've just been so obsessed with politics for so long now. Like, all my friends are too at this point.
Right.
And so it's hard to almost interact with like a normal person who knows nothing about politics, and they ask you about your job or whatever, and they're like, so what? Did you vote for Trump or something?
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, no, it's funny. I think on the show that I hosted recently, I was talking about this, but because how old are you again? You're
21.
21. Yeah. I find it so funny that like Gen Z is so politically involved, because I mean, I was 21 in 2011, so I was like smoking weed and going to parties and like whatever. Like, no, like, I mean, I guess Obama was president then. Like, I mean, I kind of had to even.
It's definitely a generational thing, because Gen Z's, we have social media, and obviously politics is all over social media. So even if you are not interested at all, it's kind of forced on you, especially just from the left. Like, I remember during 2020, everyone had to post a black square. Everyone in high school would post these feminist infographic stuff. It was like And it's people who actually know nothing.
I know.
Like
yeah.
genuinely, they don't know a single thing, and then they read some feminist infographic and they post it to their story, or they see something so they get vaccinated and they put it on their story. And yeah, that's like what the masses basically do. So the masses are kind of forced into this political, where everyone's kind of forced to be political. Even celebrities are being told to have an opinion on Israel, Palestine.
Yeah, and if you'll bring up my screen real quick, and then all the infographics probably look just like this, like this kind of art style.
That kind of it's so triggering to me.
It's called so it's actually called Allegria, but some people, and if you take it off real quick, it's called Allegria, but people on our side call it Globo Homo.
Yeah,
Globo Homo art style. But yeah, also too, because I mean, like obviously Trump was a very he was a divisive figure. I know that like conservatives and Republicans, whatever, kind of really opposed that tooth and nail for a long time, saying like, oh, well, like, it's because you have Trump derangement syndrome or whatever. But I mean, just in terms of how he functioned as a political figure, yeah, he was divisive. And then that was what caused your generation to be so much more politically involved. It's just, I mean,
you got to pick a side, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, and then you have, because I mean, when I was in school, I mean, there was like a few gay kids. I was one of them, just kidding. But I mean, there was a few gay kids, but I mean, that even wasn't a big thing. So I mean, just to see like how quickly things accelerated over the course of a decade is just amazing. But it's because of social media. Social media exacerbated all those things, and just kind of crazy to see. But anyway, back to the Kash Patel thing. Speaking of slop for the boomers to consume, so Kash Patel announced that the FBI had gained possession of Dr. Fauci's COVID-era cell phones, and they're probing the hard drives. I know this is kind of like boomer slop, but I actually am kind of interested because and like I feel like this should be the end of the COVID era. I mean, even to this day, and I've said in the office sometimes once I hear people doing like a whole show about the jabs, and also just realized I wasn't supposed to say that word. And
you just got Joey doing some extra work right
exactly.
now.
So I'll make a timestamp of that, of when he has to edit that out for our YouTube overlords. But actually, should I even play this? I won't even play this, but I do think it's interesting that they're like trying to distract by the Epstein thing right now, because I think it's not going particularly well for them. So I think maybe that he just threw it in there just to kind of distract from it. Maybe that was what was going on there. I'm not going to go into that for now. Maybe if we were only on Rumble, I would do that, but I just don't even want to risk it right now because go ahead.
It's kind of like they're just trying to replace it. Like, we have a new shiny thing, so please don't look here, look over there.
Exactly.
But the one thing I get tired of stuff like this when talking about the jab or any of these scenarios, I mean, what's going to get done? Because a lot of times what these politicians do is they come out and they make the best soundbite, but nobody ever follows through.
Yeah.
And the thing with Fauci too is, I mean, he did get a presidential pardon as well from Biden. So that part is already going to be covered up. There was a lot of people that the J6 committee, Fauci, Hunter Biden, all these people are protected, unfortunately. And I think that they just don't want us to keep paying attention to what's right in front of our face.
Yeah. Yep. No, yeah, I completely 100% agree. I mean, it was just so conspicuous to this, just like, oh yeah, this is just a pardon for 10 years prior.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, like, it's just like so on the nose. Like, it's like, I didn't murder anyone, but don't check my backyard and don't look in my bathtub for any traces of blood or human hair or anything. Like, it's just like,
and then make sure you go back this far in time.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like, not like in all of time. It's like, just this segment right here, nothing bad happened there. No, don't look there. You can't get me in trouble for it. But just in that segment, nothing's, everything's pardoned. Nothing went wrong.
Yeah, exactly. No, I completely agree. And I'm actually trying to bring up this article that you had put in the doc earlier. I had to find another thing because every single website nowadays, it's like you have to allow ads, you have to do everything to get in. So I think I potentially found another one. Actually, I'm going to move on to something else until I can find, but we will hit that article in a bit. But I just want to get some updates on what's going on with Elon and Trump. Obviously, like I said earlier, that's one of the biggest news stories that's happened probably in years. To me, that was like one of the biggest things that happened since Ye went on InfoWars that one time. That was crazy. I was howling laughing in my house.
Yahoo, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Net and Yoo-hoo. We should actually have like have a little net and like a Yoo-hoo on set. Eventually, once we expand, once we have have another studio, I would like to have more of a physical thing to where we have like shelves and then we can get like the Trump shoes. We actually got some Trump shoes, by the way.
Yeah, we need more props up.
So you don't want like 3 more 100-inch TVs
We need
like
some
Elijah's
temple
trying to get right
swords
now?
and guns
and Pokemon cards on the floor.
Pokemon,
Yeah,
yeah.
magic.
Which, by the way,
Gathering.
actually just reminded me right now. So, like I said before, this is a pre-recorded show, so you'll be watching this on Friday night. But this Sunday, we are premiering our book club. I know it sounds a little gay, but it's like, you guys should
We call
actually
it Rift Reads.
Rift Reads. You know what? Honestly,
I came up with that name.
Honestly, we're just gonna have to go with that, and and that is better than book club. And I like the alliteration. Could we get an applause for that too? By the way, for Rift Reads. But how did Elijah say that someone was supposed? So if you want to win a Kindle, I'm not sure exactly which model Kindle this is. I think this is like the $120 version, but
$200.
Oh, 200.
Yep.
Oh, this is 200. Okay. So this is big stuff here. So the Kindle Gen 11 16 gigabyte. It's in black, if you guys can see it right there. But if you guys want to win this, we will be reading Patrick Buchanan's "Where the Right Went Wrong." If you could go to Sarah and she can do her "Get Ready with Me" hand for that. So "Where the Right Went Wrong," we'll be reading that by Patrick Buchanan, one of the seminal texts in paleoconservatism opposing neoconservatism. Really just a legendary figure all around. But we'll be reading that. I think we're aiming to read about 3 chapters every week, which shouldn't be ambitious, but for us, we just do so much stuff here. Maybe a little ambitious for us. So we'll see how it goes.
It's not that hard. Maybe you can do it.
Yeah. No. Well,
working our 14-hour days, but no, we'll do it. And
Yeah.
and as we talked, because we actually did the first episode today, which will be airing on Sunday, which is very exciting because in the chat I did see a lot of people are interested in this book club.
Yeah.
So a lot of the points in that book touched perfectly with what's going on nowadays. I
Yeah.
mean, you even articulated that very well during the segment. So
Yeah.
it's a great book to dive into, especially now, and we'd love for everybody to come check it out.
So back to how you can win this though is I think Elijah said to post a picture of you reading the book, or even watching our book club show, our Rift Reads show. So you either post a picture of you watching the show, reading the book, and then just I guess he said to email it to me, which is fine.
Maybe for the subject line, say selfie for Mike or something.
Yeah, sure,
And then-
exactly. As if I don't have enough of those already. But send it to me, Mike.Mendoza at rifttv.com. I still get that mixed up. At least I didn't say slightlyoffensive.com. Mike.Mendoza at rifttv.com. I'm like rattling this around because I keep shaking it. But that's how you can win a brand new Kindle. And actually, Elijah just got Kindles for everyone in the office. So if you could hit applause for that, it's a business expense. It's nice. But it's nice too because like we were talking about this on the book club show earlier, on the Rift Reads show earlier, because she's like, because she's all Mrs. Paper, have a physical book, which I get too. I have a lot of physical books too, but when you move, it's the biggest pain in the world. So having just a Kindle is nice where you can just access anything at any given time. So
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a millennial Gen X thing to
Maybe.
have a Kindle.
I get,
What's
well,
up?
but like, I'm also big
Kindle
on,
cells, that's what we're calling you guys.
I'm also big on having signed books. Like, so once I first met Peter Brimlow, it was like a really kind of like nerdy thing to do, but I was like, by the way, I mean, my wife knows him pretty well. And we went and I'm just like sitting there with my book and I'm like, could you sign my book? But he was like happy to do so. Great guy. him and his wife, great people. If you guys don't know, they run VDare. But he also wrote the book Alien Nation. And as I mentioned on the book club episode that we recorded earlier, just in the same way that Where the Right Went Wrong talks about a lot of the same things that were happening back then, that are still going on to this day, just with different countries, different names.
What's Alien Nation about?
Just about pretty much the demographic replacement.
Okay.
And then even in the beginning, which I think he wrote that in 90 or 91, he was just saying how the immigration problem was already too far gone. And that was when I was born. So that was 35 years ago.
Yeah.
And now, yeah.
That's the same with The Death of the West. That was the first Pat Buchanan book
Yeah.
I read. Have you
Yeah.
read that one?
I haven't read it, but I do have it. I also have so many books that I've just never read, but because someone I watched on Rumble or YouTube talked about it once and I bought it, especially from Nick. Nick talks about so many books that he's read before, and then I'm like, I want to be like him. I want to be smart like him, so I'm going to buy the book, never reads it.
I know. In my mind, I'm like, if I just read every book that all these other smart people read, then I'll
Yeah.
be just as smart as them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a mix of that, and then it's also a mix of actually putting stuff together. because like, so for instance, if you guys want to know a good like note taking app that like kind of helps you with your like learning process with like putting connections together, Obsidian is a really good app for that. I use Evernote for like lists and everything.
I've just been using the Notes app on my MacBook.
Oh, no,
but
check out
I've
Obsidian.
actually been taking notes while I've been reading recently too, because I'm trying to actually read stuff for my knowledge, you know? So it is like, I do feel like you remember so much more if you just write down all the things that kind of stick out to you. And yeah.
No, anytime that like I ever want to actually learn stuff, which I haven't done this for a long time now, but once I was like trying to get into like development, I would like do flashcards. Flashcards really help. Like it's like it's such like an old school way to like learn stuff. But anyway, but let's get into this next story. I just had to kind of buy some time because I was looking for another article, because every other article was just like paywalled, whatever, ads, whatever. So if you could bring on my screen real quick. The Trump administration has asked ally Serbia to accept deportees. Kind of interesting that of all people, he asked Serbia to do so. President Donald Trump's administration is pushing Serbia and other Balkan nations to take in migrants deported from the U.S., according to people familiar with the matter. If we go down a little bit here, President Donald Trump's administration is pushing Serbia and other Balkan nations to take in migrants deported from the U.S., according to people familiar with the matter. The requested countries in the region are ongoing and part of a broader strategy to find foreign governments willing to receive migrants sent from the U.S., including some who originally entered under Biden-era protections, according to the people who requested anonymity because the talks were private. Regional bureaus from the U.S. Department of State were tasked with pitching the idea, one of the people said. It is not clear if any agreements were struck as a result of the talks. So I know you want to talk about this. This is my first time hearing about the story, actually. So
we don't know very much yet.
Okay.
So yeah, we don't know very much yet because the White House still hasn't commented on it, and neither has the Serbian government.
Why Serbia?
I don't know. But what's weird is it's not like they're deporting Serbians.
Yeah, I know.
To Serbia.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get them to accept our Mexicans, Somalians.
I'm looking right now. So
this just pissed me off because I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
We don't need to make Europe less white.
Yeah, I'm looking now, and it says as many as 500,000 people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. So
yeah,
it's
I don't
like,
know why they're sending them there. I mean,
it's not even the same part of the world.
Yeah, you don't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. So I'm still okay with it. But at least with was Albrio Garcia, whatever the guy's name was, when they sent him to El Salvador, he was actually from El Salvador. I heard he's coming back to the U.S. now to face crimes as far as human smuggling goes concerned.
Really? Wasn't it like Kilmar Garcia?
Yeah,
was
Kilmar.
Okay,
Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
Or the Ohio man, I think is what they called him.
Yeah.
Maryland man.
There you go. Yeah. But that makes sense because he was actually from El Salvador. But what they're doing now is we're just sending him to other places, which doesn't make sense to me. But once again, if they get the hell out of our country, then I'll be much more happy.
Yeah.
But we don't need to send them to tiny European countries.
Exactly.
That's just so stupid. I mean, think about how many people live in Africa, how much open land is in Africa.
I know. Yeah.
Can we just send them there?
Well, by the way, this last paragraph here, it says, so this is talking about Serbia. Its capital is the site for a forthcoming Trump Tower Belgrade, planned by an investment firm co-founded by Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law. So probably they need cheap labor, is what I'm assuming is going on. Even though, I mean, I guess you can use Haitians as cheap labor, but I don't know about Venezuelans and Cubans. Do Cubans are they cheap
work?
labor? Well, I mean, I guess that we have
They
Joey.
have to work
cheap
to be
labor.
labor.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, what's really going on here? Kind of just a weird arrangement, all in all. But yeah, I mean, this is the times that we live in. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Africa has so much room, yet they can't take in any migrants. So it couldn't get worse.
Or just send them back to their home countries. Why would we send them to Europe?
Yeah. Did I even get to the topic of talking about Elon and Trump again? I like completely forgot.
No, I think you skipped over that one.
Did I just introduce it and then I didn't get back to it? Okay.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. I'm just kind of I'm in my zone right now. So anyway, all right. AF Post reports, and if you don't follow AF Post, make sure you go follow them there. AF Post, great outlet. AF Post says President Trump is not interested in a call with Elon Musk after yesterday's blow up. A White House official has stated. I know a lot of people are making much over this black eye, and he said that he got his black eye from his 4-year-old son. I'm not buying it, and also we're also hearing that Stephen Miller's wife is being removed from, I forgot which department she was in exactly, but she's being removed. I've heard a lot of murmurings from inside people that maybe there's something going on between two individuals that wasn't supposed to be going on.
What, Kai Trump and Elon, or what?
No, he wishes.
Yeah.
He wishes. He
It
wishes.
was actually Elon who hopped over the wall that day.
Yeah, exactly,
He was trying
yeah.
to share his
And that's
love.
when he got the
and-
black eye.
Yeah. No, the only Kai that we are sexually attracted to here is Kai Schwemmer, who is
So
also
true.
a contributor. Excuse me?
Oh, no, not me.
No, not me, yeah.
Cut that out. I meant
No, we're
you.
talking about me.
Yeah.
Can I get a sound on that one? Oh, there we go.
They're going to
Perfect.
clip
Yeah.
this everywhere.
Yeah,
Move on.
exactly. All right. Anyway, all right. Well, back to that story about Elon, and I love when small Twitter. So okay, so I guess that isn't this tweet, but there was once a very small Twitter account, like literally like 180 followers, that was like, "Hey, this is stupid. Stop fighting." And then Elon was like, "Agreed." Like he like responded to this like random Twitter account. I thought that was in this doc, but apparently, yeah, this is the tweet that we had been talking about all day today. Where Ian Miles Chong, better known as Ian Miles Chungus, says that President versus Elon, who wins? My money's on Elon. Trump should be impeached and J.D. Vance should replace him. And Elon said yes. I know this is kind of old news now because, as I said before, we're pre-recording this, so a lot of stuff hadn't broke. Maybe by the time this comes out, some more stuff would have came out already. But by the way, kind of like the same thing with DeSantis. Remember, like it's like, you know, like you like sniffed out all the people who weren't loyal to Trump because they backed DeSantis. It's like people like wasted no time, no hesitation to back Elon. And yeah, like I mean, if put in a corner and then I had to choose whether I wanted to support Trump or Elon,
Okay,
I
well,
love either of them, but
Ian
Trump.
Miles Chong isn't even American. He
Well,
lives
yeah,
in Malaysia.
obviously, yeah,
He just
yeah.
wants
And-
to collect those X checks.
Yeah, and
That's
second
what
of
it
all,
comes
I
down
put
to.
out a tweet right after this where I did like the alarm emoji, and I was like, breaking, Ian Miles Chong sides with Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And then it was like people don't get it's a joke, so I deleted it because people are that dumb. But it was just really funny because I'm like, oh my gosh, really, Ian? You're siding with Elon Musk? This has never happened before.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, you know,
We know you don't care about those X payouts, and that's not
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
your
Yeah,
main source of income.
Which, by the way, I mean, I would imagine that he probably makes like the equivalent of like 20,000 USD on Twitter payouts, and then he lives in Malaysia. Like, dude.
Oh yeah,
like,
but that's probably a lot in Malaysia.
Yes.
He's living like a king.
I mean, 20,000 here is a lot.
Living like a king just off posting other people's stuff on Twitter is kind of crazy.
He'll probably be next president of Malaysia if he keeps it up. Seriously, like I'm not even kidding at all. I mean, maybe there's like some like crazy like mogul there that is in power right now. But also too, we had this video from the Vigilant Fox. Again, shout out to him. He's just like I said, he's everywhere with the news. And this is apparently Speaker Mike Johnson firing back at Elon Musk. So obviously we know whose side he has to take. He's in the government. He's a Speaker of the House. And he says, I don't argue with him about how to build rockets. I wish he wouldn't argue with me about how to craft legislation and pass it. Let's just watch this short clip from CNBC and see what he had to say. Watch.
I thought you were supposed to have a conversation yesterday with Elon. Did that happen, or was it just text?
Well, we exchanged text messages yesterday. I spoke with him at length on Monday, and that's why the kind of the blow up that happened this week was very surprising, disappointing to me. We had a very friendly conversation. I really like Elon. He's a friend. I've come to truly respect his acumen. The Doge effort was heroic, patriotic, helped us find a lot of savings and abuses that Congress was not able to uncover previously. So huge contributions. And look, we can have policy differences. We have that here in this building, every day, but it's not personal. It shouldn't be personal. I don't tell my friend Elon I don't argue with him about how to build rockets, and I wish he wouldn't argue with me about how to craft legislation and pass it. But we've had some good discussion. I thought it was helpful, fruitful, but it's just disappointing. I hope it all resolves today. Look, these are two titans. I respect them both. I'm of course a huge fan and supporter of President Trump. I was with him in the Oval Office yesterday afternoon when some of this was unfolding, and he was disappointed. I was disappointed. I just hope it resolves quickly for the sake of the country.
I love the unspecific
I thought
language.
you were supposed to have a conversation yesterday with...
Sorry, that's me. I love the unspecific language because they don't want to step on anyone's toes, and they want just like it's so like it's so slimy. Like it's just like, you know, like he's obviously not like taking a side, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think I have to ask everyone in here.
It is kind of funny though how all these people are not wanting to take sides, and it's like, really, you're not siding with Trump?
I forgot who I saw tweet about this, but it's like they
Elon really is the president.
Yeah, they said, well, like, so I saw someone tweet about this, and then they said, you know, it's funny seeing people squirm and then figure out, you know, which would be better for the career to support.
Because people are just such shells for both of them. It's just
exactly
like, and it's the same people too that are these like, they have TDS, but in the opposite direction where they're just like, Trump can do nothing wrong. And it's like the exact same people worship Elon and think that he's like a god and a genius, whatever. I mean, he is smart, but
yeah. One of the interesting ones to see was Alex Jones, which I saw Cat Turd, which is like such a funny name to like even reference. But Cat Turd was like kind of going at Alex Jones and calling him a snake. Because you know, I don't watch InfoWars very often, but I do know, and actually my mom watches InfoWars very often. But I know that Alex is like a big Elon fanboy. So I think this probably like broke his heart a little bit, because also he's defended Trump a lot. But you know, just interesting to see the dynamic and how it's kind of exposing like not so much people who are like loyal and disloyal to like Trump, but just seeing how people are just, like,
but also
pandering to their own.
it is we have to admit it is a little bit wild that Elon basically implied that Trump is a pedophile.
Yeah, I know.
Essentially that's basically what he did, and now everyone's like, well, hopefully they just make up. It's like, are we just so used to calling people pedophiles now it doesn't even mean anything anymore?
If your name is Kendrick Lamar, then
yeah,
yes,
no, but it's true. It's
yeah.
like, what? It's like so unserious.
Yeah, and like, by the way, it would be one thing if I just told you that I thought someone was a pedophile, but I mean, how many impressions does that tweet have now? Probably like 250 million, so a quarter of a billion impressions. And
now Elon's just on his Twitter being like laughing emoji, target emoji when someone's like, ah ha ha, it's so funny how Elon called Trump a pedophile. I'm like, so this is just like a joke to you?
Yeah,
well, it feels like he's just calling him a pedophile as an insult, and then it's not even.
Yeah, which like kind of makes me think, like, I'm just like, is there like some other like ulterior motive where they're like aiming to do
maybe he
something
was
else?
literally just crashing out that hard that he just felt like saying that.
Well, I mean, you know, not like he's ever crashed out before.
Yeah,
you know, so
yeah, we did see another historic crash out when he was like
exactly, literally historic this time too.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, so we're gonna go into the next culture section. So if you could hit the culture button, then we're gonna get into it. All right, so the Supreme Court just ruled unanimously that reverse discrimination is discrimination. I don't think this is news to anyone here, but in other words, discriminating against someone because they're white and heterosexual is illegal under the Civil Rights Act. And as Nick Sorter said there, I can't believe that this had to be litigated at the Supreme Court, but this is a big win regardless. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Why does this have to go to the highest court in the land? I hate when people even say reverse discrimination, because wouldn't reverse discrimination be tolerance? Like, if you discriminate against someone for being black, it's discrimination. If you discriminate against someone for being white, it's still discrimination. The reverse or the inverse of discrimination would be tolerance, I think.
It doesn't make any sense to me, because I feel like it should have been the other way around, where they would have had to go to the Supreme Court to get them to rule that reverse discrimination is not discrimination. You know what I mean? I'm like, isn't that the precedent already, that obviously it's discrimination? Like, when did that law change? It never did. So why are we doing this? I don't know. I don't really get it.
Well, it's because of I saw a video recently where some libtard was going off about like how it was impossible to be racist towards white people because they're in power.
No, I know that's like the narrative, but that's never been a law, has it? So how does that make any sense?
I mean, I honestly think that the narrative is just so ubiquitous and so strong and so deeply ingrained.
Yeah, all these judges are just redefining the law.
Yeah, no, and I mean, look at how they've been like redefining stuff with immigration too. Yeah. Like, it's just like, it doesn't matter what the actual letter of the law is. And then, you know, also too, once you put women in these positions, then they start to, is there a sound coming? Okay, there we go. they start to judge based off of how they feel and not what the actual law is. So I think it's really what it is, Mike. I don't know if you have any opinion on this, but it's just crazy that it had to be determined by the Supreme Court of all places. But
well, it just shows you how far we've come as a country with all this brain rot. I mean, over and over they try telling us that if you are white, then you can't be discriminated on. And actually, if you look at all the laws that have been passed as far as bills that Biden was putting out where white workers, business owners couldn't get, any kind of funds. Other states have the same thing. I believe it was like California, I forget which state it was, where as long as you're not white, you can go ahead and get money towards your first house. So it's literally the most discriminated race right now is white people, but they don't want you to talk about that. It's all supposed to be hidden. So this way they quietly try to fade us out. I mean, that's really what their goal is.
Yeah, exactly. And, someone in the replies, I was just going through the replies right now, they were surprised that Katanji Brown Jackson didn't dissent, but maybe woke is just dead. Can I get an applause for woke being dead? That's not the tweet I have up right now, but
yeah, I was kind of surprised by that too. I was surprised it was a 7-0 ruling.
Yeah, exactly. So, but
because it's not exactly we have the most conservative court ever. When we were trying to deport people, that didn't pass. So.
Honestly, this whole woke being dead thing just feels so fake. I'm not super happy about it actually, because it doesn't feel because it's like okay, woke is dead, and now we're gonna bomb Iran. Okay, well,
Well, they're like, oh yeah, so affirmative action is gone, but now there's just no white people left.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
it's like, yes, I mean, and by the way, remember at the beginning of the Trump admin, and it was just all these crazy Dylan Mulvaney is a man again, and it was always crazy wins, all these culture war wins.
Yeah, all these fake cultural battles that actually don't affect our lives that much.
And then by the way, most of those were never even actually put into effect. It was kind of just the initial press release. It was the initial signing of it, and then they get blocked in the courts. Or someone dissents or something happens and it gets hung up. But actually, I saw this reply too. I actually haven't read it, but it looks interesting. It says, it took a woman to bring this case to get SCOTUS to determine that illegal behavior is illegal. Now, I don't know the actual story that precipitated this case, but wasn't it something to do with a woman being discriminated against for not being lesbian? That was it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this one personally.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but then this person says, "Who knew?" If not the image below, it's some kind of mass falsification that's kept this from happening in the U.S. for 60 years. 1946, you couldn't find Nazi knowledge, German to be found. I don't know what that's in reference to, but I think this is kind of what we were just talking about. Is that it starts off with this concept of intersectionality. It gets accepted by the group, and then it became sacred, and then whatever this and that. I'm not sure about the rest of this cycle, but I think this kind of makes sense as to what I was talking about. It being so deeply ingrained in people's worldview is why it has to be adjudicated in the Supreme Court now. So just interesting stuff, But again, I think that even though we are getting small wins, is it worth the price to pay to go to war, World War III with another nuclear superpower? I don't think so. So anyway, but on to the next story, another one from AF Post. Again, a great account. Make sure you follow if you don't already. But it says here that New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani, classic New Yorker, is promising free stuff in Hindi in his campaign ads. So let's watch this. Let me just go and rewind real quick and check out. Let's see what he's offering.
बात ये नहीं है कि मैं क्या बनूंगा, बात ये है कि मैं क्या करूंगा हमारे कम्युनिटीज के लिए और हर एक न्यूयॉर्कर के लिए। मैं हमारे शहर को अफोर्डेबल बनाऊंगा। न्यूयॉर्कर्स मुश्किल से अफोर्ड कर रहे हैं रोटी, कपड़ा और मकान। मैं ये सब बदलने के लिए लड़ रहा हूँ। रेंट फ्री बसेस, यूनिवर्सल चाइल्ड केयर और सस्ती ग्रोसरीज के जरिए। पर आपको एक सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ, तुमने कभी किसी को वोट किया?
Wow. Okay. So just for our just for our podcast listeners, real quick, I'll play through this again and then narrate it. So he says, "It's not who I'll be, but what I will do for our communities and for every New Yorker. I'm going to make the city affordable. New Yorkers are struggling to afford food, clothing, and shelter. I'm fighting to change that. Rent-free, free buses, universal childcare, and cheaper groceries. But I must ask you, hey, have you ever voted before? And then for our podcast listeners, it's a bunch of Indians. Are they Indian? Right?
Yeah,
Indian,
they
Indian?
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
They almost
kinda
like
Chinese.
This one looks Asian,
Filipino.
actually. Yeah.
You voted before by not here in the U.S., obviously.
Yeah.
They just ushered them all in.
Yeah. By the way, you can do split screen on all of us. It doesn't have to be me all the time. That's just kind of just a little producer trick I do right now for when Elijah introduces stories. I use that one. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, we saw this morning, and actually, I don't think it's in this doc. I think it's in the other doc that I can bring up right now. But we had that prayer. I think it was. Oh, actually, no, it's not even in this doc. I think Elijah just brought it up on the book club thing, which you can watch on Sunday. But there was like a Hindu prayer in Congress or something. So this is nothing new. This is nothing novel. Our country keeps slipping into being less and less non-white. And by the way, like I've said before, I'm half Mexican, obviously. Michael Hennessy has made it his life goal to deport me. Thankfully, I'm a naturalized citizen.
I am going to be selling the shirts too.
Oh, really?
Deport Mendoza and release the Mendoza report. We'll be having those coming soon.
Yeah. So anyway, but so all that is to say, obviously I'm half Mexican, but the reason why people come to this country is to be American, is because they recognize that Europeans built one of the best countries, probably the best country in history. I mean, maybe you could make an argument about Rome or something, or some ancient civilization or whatever. But I just don't understand how people are so committed to subverting the culture that all their ancestors flee to. You would think it's okay, like you hear about all these, I remember I used to have one girl in one of my classes back in high school. She was from Iran, and she was talking about how her dad came here with $10 and he ran a hot dog stand or whatever. And he really he worked 18-hour days. He did all this stuff to live in America. And she was pretty Americanized. I don't know how Americanized her dad was, but you would think that people who go through who go through hell and high water to be here would at least do the simple courtesy of, adjusting to the culture, of assimilating. But instead, it's just I don't know what it is, but I feel like in the last 20 years, there's been a push to not assimilate and to really just build your own ethnic enclaves of your own people. So much so that you go to some of these places and they're just unrecognizable. I know it's even worse in Canada too. But it's Australia and Canada are kind of just the next steps for America.
Well,
so
the real red pill is the fact that's kind of always been like that, though.
Yeah.
I don't think there's only really been assimilation in when it's been small numbers, and especially when it's other Europeans. But even, I took California history class this past year at college, and it was so weird, looking back to when the Chinese first came to California. And there was this massive push to get them out because there was no assimilation, because they all gathered, they still have Chinatown in San Francisco. It literally lasted, that ethnic enclave lasted for 150 years. And they would come in, and then all the men wore the ponytails like they do in the old, you know what I mean? If you watch old Chinese warrior movies, they all had ponytails. None of them spoke any English at all. There was a lot of crime going on. They would run brothels. They would bring drugs over, all this stuff going on. They were replacing the Americans with the Chinese workers for cheap labor. So it was the exact same thing we're seeing now with the H-1B Indian tech workers, but it was with Chinese railroad workers at the same time. And this is crazy because this is one of those things that we always hear about in school is why immigration made our country so great. And then they always the Chinese have been here forever. They were the railroad workers. And it's yeah, the majority, I was reading about it, the majority of Americans did not want them there at all, from the Democrat Party and the Republican Party at the time. So it was literally just because of corporations wanting to replace American workers. All that to say, there wasn't really assimilation there either. And there still are these ethnic enclaves. So it's not even I don't know, I just think it's a natural course when you bring people in from other countries. There isn't a whole lot of assimilation. It only really works when you disperse them a lot. If they move to a small town, for instance, if they move to, because I grew up in a small town, it was 95% white. So the people who live there were all very assimilated because they're just surrounded by white people, basically. Yeah. So they kind of had to. But if you move to a city, there's always going to be ethnic enclaves because people naturally gravitate towards that. So that's kind of the real red pill. It's how much does assimilation happen? I don't think it really happens that much.
Yeah. Well, also too, and I mean, I was thinking about this as you were giving your account, but I mean, I'm about, because a generation is about 15 to 20 years, I think. So I'm about a generation older than you, both Mike and I are. In the 90s, in the early 2000s, I mean, I grew up in a smallish town too, and even there, it's like people assimilated. I mean, for sure, like I grew up with a lot of Hispanics, and then they were not assimilating at all either. But I mean, it still felt like somewhat of a cohesive culture. But you're right. Like once it comes to the big cities, I think that once they all group together, I mean, it's kind of to be expected that it's like they're gonna all. I mean, people.
Well, why would they want to? I mean, if I moved to Japan and then I was like, well, I could live somewhere where it's all Japanese, or I could move to the part of the city where there's some white people. Yeah, I'm gonna want to move to the white people because I can understand them and I feel comfortable. So you can't even really blame them. It's not really like
that's true. Yeah,
it's not really like you can blame them. Say, oh, why don't you assimilate? Makes sense that people are going to naturally do what's comfortable for them, but it's just a problem with our government, I think.
Yeah,
and what they just shouldn't be allowing everyone to come here.
Yeah, well, it's also our like value system and our like. I mean, like we have been trained to believe that. I mean, for some reason, diversity just supersedes everything. Yeah. But yeah, like just on its face, it's like if like well, I guess I shouldn't say too much about this, but like let's say that you're forming a political action committee or like a lobbying group or whatever. I mean, you'd probably want to bring in people who have your same political ideology, who believe the same things that you do. Diversity is not your strength there. I mean, even if you're running a Jimmy John's or something, like it's like diversity isn't your strength there either. Because if everyone's speaking different languages, if everyone has different levels of hygiene, like it's just like it's not going to work well. And by the way, once I was still living in Chicago, there were a lot of Indians that were taking over Wingstops. It was one thing for them to take over 7-Eleven. That like to their credit, I think they did a decent enough job with that. But then you go in the Wingstop, there are literally people wearing sandals or being bare feet in the kitchen. It's just like, hey, I like a little spice in my wings, but not that kind of spice, okay?
That's all of Canada now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. And, hopefully I'll, because I have some, me and you have some mutual friends up in Canada. Hopefully I get a chance to visit them sometime, and I'll stop by a Sing Horton and see what's like over there. Speaking of Sing Horton, did you put this in the doc?
Yes, I did. I added it.
Cool, perfect. Okay, so if you could bring up screen real quick. This was in the GOP-led House today. So, I mean, recently, as I mentioned before in the book club, make sure to watch that on Sunday. We had Harmeet Dillon giving her prayer, whatever. A lot of people like Harmeet Dillon. She has done a lot of good work, especially for J6ers and everything. That's appreciated. But, this is a Christian country. Can we just all agree on that? I think everyone here, we can.
Christ is king.
Yeah, I think everyone here can agree with that. But some people don't agree. So.
As one, we ask of the Almighty to also keep watch over our nation's protectors who work tirelessly day and night to ensure our safety and our race. As well.
I just realized
it's giving me PTSD from being in Canada.
Yeah, I just realized too. At the end, it's not like he said safety. Was that English? I couldn't tell. I have no idea what he was saying. But again, we should not even be in a situation where it's like I can't understand what you're saying. Even once you go to Miami here, everyone speaks Spanish.
Yeah, you'll go to restaurants sometimes and just I don't speak Spanish. I should learn Spanish, but I don't speak it at all. But yeah, when I'm in Miami, I have no idea how to order food sometimes, and the waitress is looking at me like I came to her country and I didn't know what I was doing. So.
Yeah, no. I went to a CVS down in Ventura, which is just north of Miami, and the CVS, like the signs in Spanish, like it said like CVS Farmacia or something. It's just like, dude, what's going on? This is just getting out of control. It's getting too ridiculous. So anyway, I think we're at the halfway point. We're at an hour mark now. So as we do, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to be here for another 30 minutes afterwards. Like I said, Elijah's not here. He wasn't feeling great. And I was just like, hey, listen, everyone loves Mike Mendoza.
We got it covered.
Yeah.
We got it covered. We don't even need you, Elijah.
Everyone loves Mike Mendoza. Everyone loves Sarah Stock. Everyone loves Michael Hennessy. We got this. Could we get an applause for all three of us? So we got this. We're hosting, but Elijah will be back on Monday. And, as you guys know by now, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9, The Rift will be doing the show every single day. And we've been getting a lot of great feedback. We had almost 3,000. Like I think it was 2,900 live viewers on the show last night with Viva Frey.
There was more. There's 3,500 at one point.
Really?
Yeah, and that was just on Rumble. And there was like 1,000 on YouTube.
Wow. So we had a huge show last night. Big shout out to Viva Frey. It's funny too because obviously we talk a lot on the show about how we're not the biggest fans of Israel. I think that's putting it lightly. And then sometimes those people do some things or whatever. We're not the biggest fans of that either. The whole chat was spurging out about Viva. They're like, oh, he's Jewish, right? It's like like the first time he was on the show, he was talking about the concept of the JQ the whole time. So it's like he's not scared to go there, and we respect people like that. I mean, we've had Mel K on, we've had Ron Coleman, we've had Mark Lobliner on. All these people are not scared to talk about, like, we're not having Dave Portnoy on. We're not having people who just kvetch, as they would say.
We should. I'd be fine with that. We can just argue with him. I mean, he's not very nice when he argues.
He's not. No. Yeah.
So he would yell at us.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I wonder if that guy got fired because they had a very tense exchange. But
I kind of doubt it, to be honest.
He said that he was getting paid $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
That guy was.
That would suck. I mean, I do kind of, even though Dave Portnoy's obviously unhinged, I kind of believed what he said in that video where he said, you guys don't watch Barstool. And I'm assuming that he kind of just goes off on people a lot and you know what I mean?
Yeah, probably.
I'm just saying I don't think that was necessarily a one-time thing or that's the only time he's yelled at his employees. I think that's probably kind of Barstool just gets kind of out of control like that. Yeah. I'm not a fan of it because I think it's stupid, but whatever. That's what they do.
Plus, I feel like they're kind of way past their prime. I mean, Barstool was I went to college at the time where everyone had some kind of Barstool flag in their dorm room. Mm-hmm. So Barstool's kind of past its prime, and I think that the Dave Portnoy thing
okay, dumb question. What even is it? It's just media, or it's because I know there's Barstool.
Now it's sports betting and everything too. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so
I don't really get what the main thing is.
I think it just started off as a blog about sports. And then it evolved into more cultural stuff or whatever. And then it was kind of just a guy's thing or whatever. And they've branched out into a lot of different things, but like I said, I mean, I think people are starting to see through the facade that because Dave Portnoy loves to put out this whole image that he's just he's a Boston rough and tough guy or whatever until you talk about Jews, and then and even if it's a joke too, I mean, maybe some people weren't joking, but I mean. I think that the mask really slipped in that situation, and a lot of people are starting to see what's going on. So anyway, as I was saying before. Oh crap! Almost knocked this over. Oh, you know what? I haven't done any reads yet. So, really quickly, that I love Van Man. I actually just use some of this. I'm the main person who uses this jar in the office, actually. So if you go to vanman.shop/Elijah, if you want to get all natural moisturizers, tooth powder, stuff like that. If you care about what you put in and on your body, which you should, check out Van Man. They have a ton of different options, and we've been doing pretty well with them. A lot of our audience really jives with their products, which is great. So, supporting them supports us. So make sure to check them out, vanman.shop/Elijah, promo code Elijah for 10% off. Like I said, there is a ton of products. They have aluminum-free deodorant, tooth powder, mouthwash that's very organic. I actually tried it before. I actually wasn't a huge fan of the mouthwash, but I think it's because I'm so used to using Crest and then these other brands that are just nothing but chemicals. So it's almost once you have something that isn't completely loaded with sugar and it's naturally flavored, it's not as sweet, it's not as addictive because it's actually made with natural ingredients. So anyway, check out vanman.shop/Elijah, promo code Elijah for 10% off. And by the way, some people say 10% is not a ton off, but if you buy a lot of things at once, which I would encourage you to, because I mean, these things last you months actually. So it's good to just stock up, and then that way you won't think about it and be like, oh, I'm only getting $2 off of this. If you make a $100 order, that's 10% off, and that's not nothing.
Can I just say something?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just asking ChatGPT about Barstool, and I just remembered that Call Her Daddy is a Barstool.
Ah, yeah.
So,
which is the biggest woman psyop ever.
Which is the most degenerate, brain rot, women's podcast ever. That basically is just a whole podcast encouraging women to be whores.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's her name again? Alex Cooper. Yeah, Alex Cooper. Yeah. And spends her entire career telling women to be whores and that's cool to sleep around and everything. And then she just goes and gets married to some rich guy because she's hot and rich enough that works out for her.
Yeah.
But all of these women watching it, it's not really going to work out the same way for them. And she's just a horrible person. And Dave Portnoy is funding this.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? This is the most degenerate. Like, think of all the stuff he's promoting, like sports gambling,
Yep.
alcoholism with young guys,
Yeah.
women sleeping around. It's just all this disgusting stuff. But he's a victim when someone says F the Jews in his bar. He needs to go to DEFCON 3.
Well, as Sam Hyde said too, that he's not quite impressed when someone like that makes $1 million off of promoting vices. Like, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty easy to make money.
That's his entire company is promoting vices with young people.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to build a company off of promoting vices. Look at OnlyFans, look at stuff like that. Look at any porn company. When you're building a company like The Rift, and then you're trying to just tell the truth, which may or may not be super popular with the people who are in power. Now that's a little bit more impressive. If we can get an applause first real quick. And then one more thing I wanted to mention, like I mentioned before, if you want to win the Kindle, send a picture of yourself. It doesn't have to have your face in it. I'm not encouraging you to dox yourself or anything, but if you're just reading the book, if you have like your little coffee and cigarette, whatever, once you're reading the book, reading on your Kindle, whatever, post that, send it to me, and then we will pick a random person to send this free Kindle out to. But other than that, I think we're at the hour mark now for sure. So we will take a short break, and then we'll be back in 5 minutes, and then we'll be back for about 30 more minutes to close out the show. So we'll see you guys on the other side. All right, let's just watch this real quick and see what it's all about. Bring it up.
Minority white British. Is that a concern of yours at all?
Yeah, I don't think that's I haven't seen those predictions, and 2063 is a long way off. But
it's a few decades.
Yeah, it's a few decades. Well, it's I'm trying to do the maths quickly in my head, but it's in most people. I'll be long gone. Put it like that. I think that the UK is we are a Christian nation. We should stand up and be proud of that. And let's see what happens. But at the end of the day, what we should be focusing on is getting our own people back into work, training up our own people, having. In a sense, Nigel's talked quite recently about families. We need more British-born people, so that we need to be less reliant on immigration, and that's the issue. And on we go.
It will be a huge moment, though, in British history. For the first time ever in this nation's more than 1,000 years of proud history, the country will be minority white British. And many
that. You're obsessed with this stuff, okay?
So many other people, Rich. It's not just me, to be fair.
The way you ask the questions, right? Matt Goodwin's made a forecast. He may or may not be right? I don't know what his computer model is. I've not seen it. But the sensible discussion to have is what sort of population do we want to have? Can we make that population more prosperous? Can we have a high quality, highly skilled immigration policy? And yeah, it's like one of these things. It's a bit like what we started on in terms of, do you want to ban the burqa? Let's have a discussion about it.
I love how every time that you bring up a topic that they don't want to talk about, you ask one question or two questions, maybe, you're obsessed with it. That's always how they dismiss you. And, credit to him. I like Alex Jones. That's what he does with Nick all the time. It's like, oh, you're obsessed with it. And like maybe he's kind of backed off on this recently because now it's like very relevant to what's going on in the world. Yeah. But it's like, oh, you're obsessed with Israel. Like, it's like, no, it's very, it's a cornerstone of everything that's going on in political life and in the world. But I feel like these people aren't being honest with themselves. I feel like if they were actually being honest with themselves, they do care, but because of the social pressure to not care, they have to act like they don't. And I'm not saying that this guy is like a white nationalist or whatever, or he's like extremely pro-white. I think something deep down in him does care, but he can't admit it, and he knows that.
Yeah, well, the disappointing thing is this is the deputy leader of the Reform Party in England, which is supposed to be their opposition party to the mainstream. It's not even their right-wing conservative party. It's technically their far-right party, even though it's not really far-right, but you know what I'm saying? It's like the opposition, and they're telling Steve Edgington that he's going to be dead, so he doesn't care. That's what he said at the beginning. He said, well, it's a long way off. I'll be long gone by then. So he's essentially saying, oh, and 2060, it's like, that's not even that far away from now. That's four decades from now. So if you have grandchildren, they're going to be alive during that time. Like, you don't care about what your grandchildren are going to have to live through. You don't care about how your country will look once you're gone. All you care about is yourself. It's just very selfish.
Which, by the way, I mean, I think what all of us are doing, I think the cause that we're fighting for, and there's a lot of different ways that you can phrase what we're fighting for, but I think the smart and wise way to look at what we're fighting for is that we're not going to see, and I'm not talking about any violent means once I say revolution, but we're not going to see any revolution. We're not going to see our goals achieved in our lifetimes, I don't think. Probably. I mean, maybe, but who knows? But yeah, you're right. It is very selfish to be like, oh, well, I'm not going to be alive for it, so whatever. Like, it's just
I mean, it's just the boomer mentality in general.
Yeah, right.
It's such a boomer thing. I mean, even just with, I guess, even with the whole national debt thing, it's not something I really think about that much. I'm just not into economics as much, but it's still kind of like, yeah, we probably could cut Social Security benefits or something, or cut out some of these benefits that will hurt in the short term, but actually will benefit the country long term and benefit your grandchildren. But you care more about yourself, I guess.
But they would never cut that out because they know that's political suicide.
Yeah.
And that all the boomers and people older than that would never vote for that. But yeah, it is very selfish. I have a young child. She's going on 11 months now. And being a parent has made me realize it's like the most selfless possible thing you could do, which is why it's just like it does make you think of all the times that you were crappy to like your parents, and then think about like everything they had to go through when you were an infant, like even up until like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old or whatever. So I see being a parent as a very selfless thing. I mean, I'm sure that guy has kids, and he's just like I mean, do you not think for a second like
that's what I don't get? Are you not worrying about what England will look like for your kids when they have kids?
But yeah, like,
that doesn't bother you?
It's because of social pressure, he's so married to this idea of like, oh, well, everyone's a blank slate. We all bleed red, whatever. We're all pink on the inside, whatever the saying, however that goes.
Yeah. But he doesn't even have enough balls to say that. Because he's not even saying, oh, I don't, he's not even saying like, oh, why does it matter if they're not white British? Because he knows that would piss off his own base too, right?
Yeah.
Because the Reform Party does care about that, like the people who vote for them. So he's not even willing to be brave enough to say that, but at the same time, he's not willing to be brave enough to say, yeah, that is a huge concern. We should try to stop that from happening. We should be worrying about migrants, whether or not they're high skill or low skill migrants. We just shouldn't be taking them in because we should try to preserve our native population and try to actually have an England that lasts more than 100 years, because inevitably it's going to fall apart. If it's not British people, it's not going to be England. And honestly, the country's going to suck. Yeah.
And their rationalization is that they see everyone as economic units. So like, oh, well, like we'll get the best developers and the best of this and the best of that. It's like, actually, I don't care.
And also that's just not true. It's not gotten any better. Come on.
Stabbings and everything going on.
We've been hearing this argument for decades that immigration makes everything better. Immigration is going to fix the economy and fix the birth rate crisis and the whatever. It's going to fix this job market. And it hasn't fixed anything. Has there been a single thing that immigration has made better for us? I mean, the economy's worse off now than it ever has been. So it's not really doing anything to solve that.
Also, that reminded me of another clip from Nigel Farage, where he's talking about Jews, and he's also talking about white people. If you could bring it up on screen real quick. But this is what he had to say about Jews and about the English. So let's just take a listen. Sorry.
Support of Israel and their right to defend themselves, but they have to do this. They simply have no option if they are to survive as a country and, frankly, in many ways, as a race in that part of the world.
Do you think that immigration represents a major threat to Britain from a demographic perspective? So in the last 20 years, the white British population has declined from 87% to 74%. Is that a concern of yours?
No.
You say you're not concerned about demographic changes in Britain, but we have seen the fastest and most rapid decline of the white British population ever experienced in British history. This has happened in such a tiny, short period of time that majority cities that were once, 90% white British are now majority ethnic minority. Look at London, Leicester, Birmingham. So why isn't that a concern of yours?
But they're not unrecognisable as being English because of skin colour. They're unrecognisable because of culture. I mean, look, the truth is, I genuinely think that the British are the most open-minded, most accepting people, that you'd frankly...
I mean, do we even have to comment on that? It's just it speaks for itself. And honestly, because I saw a video on my timeline, I didn't actually watch the whole thing. I could kind of just deduce from just seeing the captions what it was all about. I was actually expecting him to be like, "Oh, you're obsessed with this," or why should I care? Because again, once they want to dismiss and hand wave away your genuine concerns, that's what they say, and it's just it's sad. It's just sad to see these people just over and over again, kind of sleepwalk into suicide of their own people.
Yeah, and the argument doesn't really make sense to me, even because I think even if you're not a race realist in the sense that you believe that race is a biological reality that affects more than just outward appearance, it affects behavior, it affects culture, whatever. Even if you are not a race realist, even if you believe what the majority of people believe now, which is that it's just a physical characteristic, basically. I don't know how you can't see the connection between race and culture in general, because it's okay, you can say it's not about skin color, but, well, you let in a bunch of people from India and they act like Indians, and you can't deny that there is a correlation between race and culture. And when a bunch of people move somewhere, they're not going to act like white British people. Most of the time, they're going to act exactly, or not exactly, but and at least they'll also have an in-group preference for their own people, and that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So I don't know, right. They just deny that there's some sort of correlation between race and culture, or country of origin culture, and it's just not the reality.
Yeah, no, it's super obvious too. Like how you said, I even just anecdotally, I lived in Chicago. I lived all around Chicago except for the South Side for obvious reasons. But I actually literally lived in Little India at one point, and it's distinctly different. Just everything about the quality of construction, the buildings, the smell. Imagine the smell. So yeah, it just, you'd expect that, and this is why I'm saying that they're being willfully ignorant about the topic, because they're so scared of how they could be perceived that they wouldn't be elected back into office. I think that's probably a main factor at play here too, is that they don't want to be voted out of office, so they can't even hint that they care about white people or they care about their own people. And it's sad too, because I've been to London a couple times. I went to the Tower of London and everything. Last time I went to Buckingham Palace and everything, just on the outside. I went to some kind of I went to a couple of art museums. I went to the Tate Modern and then another one. It's such a
rich... Did you
rich...
go to the National Portrait Gallery?
I think that was it, with all the statues and everything.
It was more paintings and statues.
Okay, well, because I remember going to one that had statues and paintings.
Oh, you're talking about just the British Museum.
That may have been it. I forgot. But either way, they obviously have a very rich history. How people always say, "Oh, white people don't have history." I guess
they have more history than anyone. Because they conquered the world, and that's why. Yeah, I went last summer, and it was a really cool experience. I think the coolest part was going to the museums, because you go into the British Museum and you're like, oh my gosh, these artifacts have been in this museum for a long time also, because they were the British Empire had taken over the whole world, and they had brought in, they even brought pieces of a temple from Greece in, and I'm like, dang, they did that on horses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't even have a plane or something to do that back then. They were pulling stuff in boats and on horseback from all four corners of the world and putting it all in one place. And then that's how powerful they were on this tiny little island too, right?
Yeah.
There's how many people even live there on this tiny little island? They're able to be so powerful and strong that they're able to conquer the whole world. And then now it's what have they done at all? And they have no culture. There's nothing left, and it's just sad.
Yeah. And the reason why they kind of want to just cover all that up, why they want to hide history, is just because they don't want white people to be proud.
Yeah.
Because, obviously Black pride, beautiful. Hispanic pride's great. But if you look at white pride on Wikipedia, it's a hate symbol. It's evil.
Yeah. Well, even whatever. I remember I used to always hear liberals talk crap about the British Museum and say that it's colonialism, they stole stuff from other countries. And I'm like, yeah, if they didn't steal it from the other countries, it would have just been destroyed by now in a war. So it's actually pretty cool that we can have all this stuff in one place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then you know, I'm going to touch on this last article really quick, but the U.S. will become minority white in 2045. Census projects youthful minority are the engine of future growth.
It's an old article, but I just put that in there on this topic.
Just as like supporting. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So new census population projections confirm the importance of racial minorities as a primary demographic engine of the nation's future growth, countering an aging, slow-growing, and soon-to-be declining white population. The new statistics project that the nation will become minority white in 2045. During that year, whites will comprise 49.7% of the population, in contrast to 24.6% for Hispanics, 13.1% for Blacks, 7.9% for Asians, and 3.8% for multiracial populations. So it's crazy that there's even more than 50% white people, because it's just, you know, I mean, we're in Florida. There's a lot of Jews where we are, obviously, but I mean, being in South Florida, I mean, it definitely feels like way more than 1 and 2. I mean, like, I don't know what the ratio really even is, but it seems like there's way more non-whites everywhere. I mean, yeah. I guess it's like in Idaho, Wyoming, certain places. That's where all the white people are.
Well, the reason I put the article in is because GB News is talking about how this prediction that by 2063, Britain will be minority white. And I feel like, you know, people on Twitter and all over the internet always talk about like, oh, Europe is falling. You know, oh, Europe, there's no more white people there anymore. And it's like that. So that's happening in 2063. But that article says in the US it's going to be at 2043, basically. So it's happening twice as fast here.
I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I don't know why it is that we don't really talk about demographic replacement as much in the US, and it's actually so much worse here.
I think it might be because you know, well, this is from an American perspective, so I could be wrong on this, but as an American, like, once you think of the UK, like, you just think of like London.
Yeah.
But I mean, America has so many different cities, but even then, all those cities are all, I mean, they feel all mostly non-white. Yeah. So I think probably because it's so spread out and there's so many different cultures across America. There's like the South, there's like the West Coast, there's Northeast, there's the Midwest. There's so many different different regions, and then different like headquarters for each region. There's like Chicago for the Midwest, New York City for the Northeast, I guess Miami for like Florida. Like Florida's kind of its own thing. Like, I kind of don't consider Florida the South, even though it obviously is. like North Florida is more the South, but like South Florida is like its own ballgame.
It's just the jungle.
Exactly. But I think the reason why people don't see it that way is just because people kind of ceded the cities to non-white people at this point. I mean, go to New York, especially LA. LA's just
I do think a big part of it is just America's been multiracial for most of its history, but it's just been multiracial because we've had a black minority, and that black minority has always been really small anyway. It's like 1 in 10. Yeah. People act like it's so much bigger. It's like 1 in 10.
It's crazy too, because they all have like 10 kids. I mean, Hispanics have a lot of kids too. I mean, it's crazy that this isn't actually happening sooner, because I mean, white people just aren't having kids, and then Hispanics are having 10 kids at once.
But it has been like, it's just so crazy looking at the stats and seeing that up till 1960 there was basically no one here except for blacks and whites.
Yeah.
And so it happened in 50 years.
Yeah. And the question that white people have to ask is, you know, what is going to happen when you're a minority in a country of people that have been groomed and indoctrinated and brainwashed into hating you? You know, people always make a big deal about white people, you know, trying to stand up for their own people. I mean, blacks do it all the time. Like, Hispanics do it all the time. And then no one is even actively out in public hating black. Well, I guess kind of now on Twitter, actually. They kind of are.
Maybe on Twitter.
Yeah, like, I think fatigue has gone mainstream now. But I mean, other than that, I mean, for the longest time, no one is openly hating these groups of people. But people, like, it's in Hollywood where people mock whites, and like, you'd have to figure, or you have to think about what's going to happen when whites are minority and other people are in power. We're already seeing it with people like Jasmine Crockett, or even like Kamala. Kamala said a lot of anti-white things on her campaign. I think she kind of went back to her dungeon now. I haven't heard from her since the presidential campaign has been over. But anyway, with that said, that was the last story for the day. Sarah, what has been your highlight of being in the Rift Studios for the past couple weeks? What's been a highlight? What's been a good, memorable moment? You know, what do you think so far?
There's a lot of good napping spots in the office.
True.
So I like going to that room, then pulling the blinds down, getting one of these big blankets, and just relaxing.
Pretty much those blankets are just like only for you now.
Yeah.
Well, at one point we had someone else who was living in the office too.
I'm using one right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, we keep it really cold in here because like we have all these crazy lights everywhere, so it gets hot pretty quickly. And it's kind of like condensed here too, especially if we have more than like 4 people at the table, and then I'm behind the producer desk, and it gets hot in here sometimes. So anyway, all right, well, it's been the show for today. This will be Sarah's last show in studio for a while, for maybe at least a month or two.
I'll come back.
Of course, you'll be back. So we've enjoyed having you, obviously, and I know the audience has enjoyed having you too. But you know, like we said before, I guess I'll have you give your outro, but your channel will be in the description if you guys want to follow her channel there. We're going to be having her probably come in remote for the book club and everything too. But if people want to follow you, where can they do that? Where can they find you?
Yeah, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's what I care about most right now. I'm going to be putting out a few new videos soon that I've already recorded. They're just not ready yet, but I'll be putting those out soon. And also, I put out a message on my Twitter that said, is there anyone you guys would like me to interview? I want to interview kind of interesting people. I liked that one I did with the leader of the Orania movement in South Africa, because it's not like he's a celebrity, but it's like he's done something pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know? So I want to interview more people like that. I just need ideas. So feel free to put that on my Twitter. And my Twitter is Sarah C. Stock, and my Instagram is the same handle.
Awesome. Michael Hennessy, the man behind the producer desk for today.
If you want to come check out my page, I'd love it. I'm at snowflake_news on Instagram as well as X.
All right, and you know me, Mike Mendoza JPG, on all platforms, on Twitter, on Instagram. You can follow me there. Elijah will be back on Monday. You know, it's funny because he wasn't feeling so good earlier, and I was like, dude, just go home. I can host the show. I should have fun hosting the show. Sometimes I'm behind the producer desk and I'm just like pushing buttons and just like getting to because it takes like 2.5 hours sometimes. So quick show. It's fun to host. It's fun to be with you guys. I wish I could be interacting with the chat, but obviously this is a pre-record. If you guys sent in super chats, sorry that we couldn't get to them tonight, but we will go over them on Monday. Like I said, Radfem Hitler will be on the show Monday and Tuesday. Can we get an applause for Radfem Hitler? That's okay. Well, close enough. But Radfem Hitler will be on the show on Monday and Tuesday. No relation to Adolf, as I said before. So if you have any questions for her, if you want to ask her about, because you know she was an Anon for a long time. Now she's face docs. Now she's out there, but she'll be in the studio. So send in your super chats before, because I don't know. Well, actually, I actually don't know if we'll be pre-recording that day. I guess that maybe we should let you guys know. We'll figure it out. We're trying to figure out a way that we're not here every evening because you know we have families, we have chores, we have other stuff we have to do once we get home. So. But check us out then. Other than that, I said where you can follow me, and you know we'll be here Monday through Friday, all next week at 7 p.m. Until then, we'll see you guys next one. God bless America. See you guys next time.